Hey gang, Eddie Buchanan. We're back at the VCOS Symposium in the sun in Clearwater Beach, Florida. I'm here with my friend Chief Steve Koering.
Yep.
Is that right? Yep. He just came off stage, like 5 minutes ago. He was on the main stage talking about community risk reduction, some really cool stuff. Before we talk about the class, tell me about where you're from and like which department you're from and what sort of system is it?
Yeah, perfect. Eddie, thanks for including me in your process here. So St. Louis Park is a city in Minnesota. We're a direct first-tier suburb of the city of Minneapolis.
Okay.
So we about 50,000 people and about 11 square miles. So it's not a big community, but it's very densely populated. Most of our population is senior related. We are a fully career department, Local 993, and we operate two stations and a 3-shift schedule with A, B, and C shift.
Okay. And your topic today was related to community risk reduction. Give me like the main points. Like what was the big takeaways?
So one of the things that we focused on in our community, because of its very high senior population, is the kind of the lack of resource connection that happens as we age, the growing number of seniors that are happening in our communities, expected to triple by 2030, and then the fire department, the demand on the fire department through 911 to actually serve them through lift assists, and then just a lack of connection, a lack of housing, a lack of care, a lack of all those different things. And so we took on this model, this discussion in a different way, saying it's not anybody else's problem to solve. It's really our problem to address and solve as a fire department. I believe, and the research shows, that firefighters are the most trusted community-based resource. Mm-hmm. So who better to sit down with a patient, a resident of your community, than the firefighter who they trust, and to ask the question, are you open and willing to receive help? And when they ask that question and answer the question almost 100% of the time, yes, that opens up an opportunity for them to be connected to a variety of resources that we have through a connection to a nonprofit that we've partnered with and created what we call a Community Health Alliance.
Okay. Tell me about that. So what sort of services can somebody access through that?
Absolutely everything. So, yeah. I mean, anything and everything. The way that we connect is through we operate much like a healthcare system outside of the healthcare world. Our firefighters we have a referral system built into our electronic health record. The firefighters build a referral. It goes to a care coordinator, which I have a full-time care coordinator on staff. She takes that information and then she begins to connect back to the primary care team, to the social worker, to the oncologist, to the family, and builds those connections. Make everybody aware of what's happening with Steve. We've been here 3 times, and I don't know if you know, but Steve's fallen 3 times. Nobody knows that except the firefighter, and so now we build that awareness, and then that opens up the door to whatever the physician wants to order. It could be a PTOT, could be a safe home visit, could be a mental health assessment, it could be a variety of things. But within this network of resources through the nonprofit, we can connect whatever resource is necessary.
Wow. So how do you maintain those records? Like, what are you using, like a part of your reporting system?
Yeah, so we have we use ImageTrend, and we use their community health module, and so all of this stays within that HIPAA protected framework. And then at the same time, we're also connected because of how we're set up. The hospital system, actually, our care coordinator and our social worker are actually in Epic, the hospital's electronic health record. Okay. And so when a patient comes into the hospital system and they have an address of St. Louis Park, our care coordinator is automatically put in as a member of the care team. And so that creates an immediate flag back to us that something's happened, and then it helps open the door between us and the primary care team to say, Steve's got a problem. You need to do some type of assessment. Once the doctor understands what's happening with the patient, then they become engaged. But most of the time, they don't know what's going on because nobody's told them or made them aware.
Right. Are you starting to see, since you've implemented this program, what impact has it had on operations? Are you seeing operational impacts?
Absolutely, and that's a great question, because part of the discussion around all of this high utilization kind of nonsense that's going on in our world is that it's impacting the reliability of the fire department. Is the fire department available? Should something serious come in? Is there a truck or a crew available to respond to that call?
Right.
What this does is it's reducing the demand on the 911 system, which makes the fire department more reliable. is putting the right resource in front of the patient at the right time. Instead of an engine company, it's putting a rescue or a care coordinator or a community health worker. And then the third thing it's doing is that it really then builds this responsiveness and for the rest of the community to take accountability so that the repetitiveness doesn't happen. So we're not constantly readdressing the problem. We've reduced, right now, as of today, our call volume has been reduced by 2,000 calls a year.
Wow.
Just in the work we're doing. And while our neighboring communities are seeing double-digit increases in call volume, we're actually seeing a single-digit decrease in call volume at the same time. So, and then if we look at how lift assists relate to a percentage of our EMS calls, we are 50% of what our neighboring cities are as it relates to what lift assist represent as a portion of EMS volume. So we think we're making a significant impact. We're now developing more data and more dashboards now that will tell a bigger story about it. But today, that anecdotally and statistically, we can say we're making a difference.
Wow. So I mentioned in the previous segment, I was at a meeting where it was a bunch of analysts and fire service types working together. And one of the frustrations they were working with was trying to get the non-critical calls out of ops, right? Like how can we find a way to, EMS are with the bulk of their call volume, but the bulk of their call volume were probably non-emergency calls. Mm-hmm. So how could they, that's what they were wrestling with, was how to address that. I wish you were there. Because it sounds like you have a program that's proven to work that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is that's, here's how I think about it, and this is probably a little bit out there, but I'd say that people tell me, well, we got to create a system where we don't respond to those calls. Or Chief, we're not going to call the fire department on those types of calls. And I say, I'm not so sure I don't want to be on that call.
Right.
I just want to have a say in what kind of a resource goes to that call. Because if I'm not on that call, then I don't know that problem exists. And we already know historically that the healthcare system is broken. So historically we know that nobody's going to take care of that problem. So I want to know everything that's happening within my community. So if we don't go to a lift assist, shame on us for not knowing what's going on. Send us to the lift assist. Let us, with the right resource, let us connect that patient to a resource. Then we are accountable in a community risk reduction model to how to improve the quality of life in the community.
But and that's really a tactical way to look at it. I think a lot of fire departments are struggling with what exactly is community risk reduction and what the heck how do we implement this thing? Mm-hmm. Like we all know it's something that we're trying to head towards. Yep. But I think people struggle with how to actually do it in a tactical way, which it sounds like you've done that. That's really
well. We have I don't know that we've solved all the problems, but we certainly are. I think we're moving the dime, and I think the tragedy is that if we focus on it too much as an EMS problem, then it becomes a harder conversation to have because you got to try to get the healthcare world involved. You got to get the payers involved. It really, if you just talk about it as a community risk reduction model, then it becomes a community-specific issue, and then you can build community resources that solve the problem without engaging healthcare, without engaging. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's
brilliant. I love the concept that a lot of fire departments are kind of looking at how can I get these calls out of my system. I don't want to go to that call, but you're taking the perspective of how can I capitalize on that opportunity to bring them into the system, and we get everybody wins. It sounds like we get the information, the interaction with the patient. And we get to solve their problem in a way that doesn't negatively impact emergency operations.
Right, because inevitably, whether we go to the call or not, we will get called again. And we will get called again, and eventually we're going to get there. Wouldn't it be great to do it on the first call versus the sixth call?
Wow, that's great stuff. This is just an example of some of the content you'll get at the BCOS Symposium in the Sun. Chief went out and rocked the house. This is very interesting information, so I appreciate you coming out and spending a bit of time with us this afternoon. This
is a great conference. I've been a long time attendee. This is the first time I've been on the stage, but this is a great conference. If you're not here, you should be.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I've been coming for, 20-something years, probably, something like that.
Yeah,
but, well, Chief, good to see you, my friend.
Absolutely.
And be sure to check back later on the social media platforms. We'll be streaming throughout the rest of the week and with different presenters, different topics. So we'll see you soon on the next one. Take care.